It's one thing to motivate yourself, it's another thing to motivate a group. What about motivating your team? Well, I think it would be helpful, first of all, to know how a team is different than a group, because if you know what the differences are, you can motivate for those differences. Here's the first difference between a team and a group. A group competes inward. A team competes outward. Most teams compete against each other or other teams in their organizations, don't they? We're always competing for resources. We're competing for recognition. We're competing for achievement. Here's the only thing that a team competes against. A common problem to be solved. A common opponent to be defeated. Or a common opportunity to be seized. Let me say that again. If you want to create a team, don't focus people on competing internally. Direct them towards a common problem that threatens the team, a common opponent that will take market share or success from the team in the marketplace, and a common opportunity to be seized. Groups are independent or overdependent. There's some people that say, hey, I'm a good performer, leave me alone, I don't want anything to do with teamwork. They are just as bad as the overdependent person who says, I can't do anything without help. In our culture in the United States, we think independence is good, and primarily it is, but not in teamwork. Because here's a subtle but important difference. In teamwork, people are interdependent. Interdependent means I am willing to help you because there are times I need help. You are willing to help me because there are times when it's appropriate that I help you. A team is interdependent versus overdependent or independent. This is the number one reason why teamwork fails. LaFasto and Larson, University of Chicago, found the primary reason why a team fails is that an individual's agenda gets put ahead of what is best for the team. Primary reason why a team fails is because a personal agenda gets put ahead of what is best for the team. That's why you must promote a team agenda. Here's the trick. Link individual success to team success. Domino's Pizza, we're familiar for years. They've used a system called TIPO, Team and Individual Performance Objectives. You were evaluated on your own performance and how you support the team in achieving the team's goals. There is linkage between the personal and the team agenda. Groups tolerate each other, teams appreciate each other. Notice I don't say they necessarily like each other. You can't make people like people, but you can make them aware of what their team members do to support them. And of course, when you put these together, groups are stagnant, they don't change much, but teams are dynamic and they innovate. So if you want to motivate your team, I'm going to give you some very specific real-world ways to do it. First, get clear about the why. You do not need a mission statement. Problem with mission statements is nobody knows what they are. They're abstract. They were probably put together in an executive retreat using high-priced consultants. My friend Ian Percy, I wish I had said this first because it's so good. He said, you don't need a mission statement, all you need is a mission. A mission statement is something you construct. A mission is something you feel. It is the reason why you do what you do. And I've seen some great missions over time. Here are four of my favorite. Zappos. Now their mission could be to be the #1 retailer of shoes sold online in the world today. It isn't. What is it? To live and deliver wow. That's why in 2005, on the 23rd of December, an elderly lady called in about returning a pair of shoes. The customer service rep had a timekeeper. The beginning of the call, the woman talked about the shoes, but started to talk about her life, perhaps her loneliness at the holidays. And when the call ended, 5 hours and 23 minutes had elapsed. What did they do to the customer service rep? Most companies, they would have fired her because she missed her quota. At Zappos, they celebrated her for living the mission. That's wow. That's amazing service. Or what about Pampers? Not to sell a lot of disposable diapers, but to develop happy, healthy babies worldwide. I do some volunteer work for Lions. I'm not a member, but I respect Lions greatly. They do a lot of things like provide sight for people who have vision impairment. But what I really love is their mission is among the shortest I've ever seen, and that is to serve. The shortest mission of all, unequivocally, is Salvation Army. Now this is not written down, but the story goes that the founder of the Salvation Army was sent a telegraph from New York City. A journalist asked him why he had started the Salvation Army, why they existed, why another organization like that. And the founder, as the story goes, telegraphed back one word: others. See, that's a mission that's being crystal clear not just on what you do. That's important. What's critical is being crystal clear on why you do it. So let me give you 7 specific ways to motivate your team when you have that clarity. Number 1, use money and meaning. Because the reality is most of your team members go home at night and make their meaning. They make their money during the day, but at night they coach a sports team. Or maybe they use the weekends and they volunteer for a church bazaar. You see, the real good leader lets people see the meaning they're making while they're making their money. They uncover or infuse a greater purpose to what they do. It isn't just about the paycheck, it's about the purpose. Number 2, don't just pursue your goals. Most of my clients are very goal fixated. They want to make their numbers. Ladies and gentlemen, you could achieve every goal and still be leaving money on the table. Leaders pursue their potential. None of us today know how good we could be. We know how good we become, but none of us know how good we could be. Goals are important because they create accountability, but potential creates passion because people want to know, how good could we be? Number 3, a paradox. Treat everyone the same and treat everyone differently. Don talked about using temperaments and styles and how you adjust your motivation. But see, here's what's important to know. What does everybody want that is the same, and how do people want to be treated that is different? What everybody wants and needs is acceptance, approval, and appreciation. There are no exceptions to the rule. Now, how they want it might vary, but first of all, people want to be accepted. That doesn't mean you condone them. It just means you accept them where they are, and that gives them the freedom to go where they need to be. When they start performing in a way that is right, that's when you offer approval. And when they contribute, that's where you offer appreciation. So when I say treat everybody the same and treat everybody differently, I'm saying the same thing that Don said, but with a subtle nuance there, that there are some basic human needs that we all share, and we'd be well advised to use them for everyone. Engineer the environment. Does your environment energize people? You know, it's hard to stay motivated in an unmotivating environment. Wonderful book written some years ago by Robert Levering called A Great Place to Work. He's the person who was in part behind the Fortune list of America's, best places to work list each year. And it came out of a research program that he did looking for the best companies. And what he found is no matter where he went or who he interviewed, employees always talked about 3 things that made for a great place to work. A great place to work, the environment that people felt motivated in, is number 1, where they trusted their employer, where they trusted their boss. Number 2, where they enjoyed their coworkers or their colleagues. And number 3, where they were proud of what they did. Now, I know that it's a bit of a simplification, but if you want to engineer a great environment, it's about trust, enjoyment, and pride. That's what motivates people. Number 5, remember the role of attitude. You'll never hear me say attitude is the only thing. That's nonsensical. But attitude is the first thing. Ability determines what you can do. Attitude determines how you do it. The founder of MasterCard once said, if you do not believe you can, why try? Maybe that's linked into that confidence piece, why so many managers and leaders stagnate, because they lose their confidence when they lose their attitude. Attitude isn't the only thing, but it is the first thing. Learn from successes and failures. By the way, it's interesting, folks, you learn more from your failures than your successes. You learn more from your failures than your successes. You enjoy your successes, but you learn the most from your failures if you take time to understand what caused them. And finally, when necessary, you want to motivate your team, teach them the acronym FIDO. Are there any Marines in the room? I learned a long time ago, you never ask if there are former Marines. There is no such thing as a former Marine. There are only Marines, active duty and inactive duty. My friend Cleve Clary came back from Vietnam, severely injured, lost an eye, lost an arm. And he taught me that phrase, and it's served me well in my adult life. When something bad would happen, the Marines would try to extract a lesson from it, but if they couldn't, they said, FIDO, forget it, drive on. Forget it, drive on. Sometimes we need to stop wallowing in what happened and why it happened and just drive on. Because too many times we get hung up on the failures of the past and miss the successes of the future. Oh, what about Mary? I want to show you a picture of a very important woman you all know. That's Mary Mallon. That was taken in the early 1900s. You see, she was born in Ireland, and at the age of 15, she immigrated to the United States, and she became a cook in New York City. She worked in one home for a period of time, and regrettably, some of the people in that home got sick, and she changed employment, and she worked in another home, and more people got sick, and she was a person of compassion, and so she cared for the sick people, and even more people got sick. Eventually, 53 people got sick, 3 died. And her name was Mary Mallon. Of course, you know her by her nickname, Typhoid Mary. Typhoid Mary is a lesson for leaders. 2 important things you need to know. The first is, you are contagious. That is a mirror neuron. It does not matter what you think. People will pick up on your behaviors, your attitudes, your emotions, and your feelings at a biochemical, neurological level. People become good at reading the moods of the leader, and the leader then becomes the standard by which they perform. It's also important to know that not only does leadership behavior set the agenda for your culture, but this is the final warning I want to share with you about Mary Mallon, that it is, I find it ironic that she cared for the people she made sick. She did not know she was the first asymptomatic carrier of typhoid. She did not know at the time. She cared for the people she made sick. And here's the message today. It is possible to be completely sincere and still be wrong. Sincerity is no proof of correctness. As someone once said, we are all entitled to our own opinions, but we are not entitled to our own facts.